Are you serious? Are you serious? I'm in the production room right now. We're preparing for today's live broadcast that will start at 12 noon Eastern. But we've got some serious concerns right now. Hurricane Dorian is threatening the United States and including St. Lucia's nuclear plant. St. Lucia nuclear plant certainly now in the crosshairs of this situation developing from what we're understanding. According to reports, the St. Lucia nuclear plant is in the crosshairs, but they're preparing, and they have been preparing for this threat. They have shut down. They're ready to shut down, and I'm waiting to find out right now if they have shut down the nuclear plant in the last day or two. According to reports, Florida's 2 nuclear plants are ready to shut down if the forecasts show the hurricane force winds hitting the facility when Hurricane Dorian finally comes ashore. In St. Lucie, north of Palm Beach, the Turkey Point south of Miami, sit on Florida's Atlantic coast. Now, we're not worried about Turkey Point south of Atlanta. That's not going to get bothered here. But this St. Lucie, this one's serious. Matter of fact, the owner of Net Era Energy, Florida's power and light, has been preparing for this possibility of shutting down the plants, according to spokesman Peter Robbins. It is poised to do so once forecasts predict a hurricane force wind speeds at the site. And that's very, very possible now for St. Lucie. Matter of fact, I've just gotten an email from folks down in that area saying, Paul, can you find out, have they shut down the nuclear plant? And I just saw Fox News. One of their reporters was standing out on St. Lucie, out on the pier there, or he got off the pier now. He's up on the boardwalk, and the waves are crashing there. The winds are getting very strong. And this hurricane is inching 1 mile an hour, but it's going northwest at 1 mile an hour. It has not started an eastern turn. It has not taken the turn. North means it is going north, but west is still west. And if it keeps going northwest, 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 it's going to crash right into Melbourne, Florida, maybe a little bit south of Melbourne, Florida. I mean, somewhere it's got to take the turn, right? Well, that's what they've been telling us. But at this moment, it hasn't taken the turn. It still hasn't taken the turn. And it's a very serious situation taking place there with this hurricane. Now, matter of fact, residents are calling into live television now to report they have missing relatives in the Bahamas. This is disastrous, guys. Let me just say it. Paradise lost. The Bahamas is lost. Okay, there's parts of the Bahamas that are going to be okay, but a lot of it is underwater. Okay, it's underwater. And the residents of the Bahamas have been dialing into the ZNS live television program to report on loved ones missing due to Hurricane Dorian. The Bahamas Environment and Housing Minister told ZNS that efforts to save valuable populations are now ongoing, but you can't get in there. Some areas now, people are on top rooftops. If the building is still standing, and a lot of them are gone, but if the building is still standing and people are on top of the rooftops, the Coast Guard is now getting involved in the process of starting the rescue effort to try to save people stranded on top of buildings. But many buildings are gone, okay? This is a storm of biblical proportion. Now, Dorian has already dumped 30 inches of rain on the Grand Bahama, and this is really out of control. The storm is inching 1 mile an hour northwest right now. If it continues at that pace without turning, it will go right into Melbourne, right about Melbourne, Florida. But it may turn right. They've told us forever. We've been hearing about the magical right hook. Well, we're running out of time on that. We're running out of time. And as it relates to the nuclear plant there in St. Lucia, this is serious, guys. And I mean, you're not going to hear this really in your mainstream fake news media. They do not want to talk about this nuclear plant. They don't even want to have anybody even have an idea that this could be a problem. And I'm praying to God it won't be. But we have to make people a little bit aware if no one else will. This is a nuclear plant. They have said 3 days ago, they will shut this thing down. If hurricane gale winds look like are going to threaten the plant. I think the shutting down of a nuclear plant is not just a couple switches and turn out the lights and lock the door. This is a process. And we don't want to see happen what happened in Fukushima. So no, it's not a tsunami, it's not an earthquake, but massive amounts of water can do a lot of destructive damage, okay? Winds at 220 mile an hour. This is a brutal storm right now. So even though it has become a Category 4 and going to be a Category 3, it could go back to a Category 4 or 5 as it's in the warm waters. So we'll see what happens. It's reorganizing now. This storm is come through the Bahamas after 36 hours. It's still just barely north of Freeport, but it's reorganized now. The eye is completely reorganizing to strengthen itself. And then what does this monster do? Does it hook north? Does it go hook right? Does it go out to the Atlantic and leave us alone? Does it crash into Jacksonville, Florida? Does it go up the coast and smash into Savannah or Georgia or, Charleston, South Carolina? Or does it just keep kind of drifting toward Wilmington, North Carolina? I mean, what's going to happen here? So we're going to continue to pray, and pray in Jesus' name. But I'm also going to ask you to prepare in Jesus' name. And I want you to pray about the nuclear facility at St. Lucia. I'll be back with more current world events and how they relate to biblical prophecy. I will be live at 12 noon Eastern. We'll give you a full report on what's going on around the world in these last days. Are you saved? Give your life to Jesus Christ because time is running out. The sea and the waves are roaring. The Bible said, there shall be signs in the sun, the moon, the stars, distress of nations with perplexity, with the sea and the waves roaring. Men's hearts would fail them for fear, for looking after those things coming on the earth, for the powers of heaven will be shaking. But then, folks, when it looks like all hope is lost, then shall we see the Son of Man coming in the cloud with power and great glory. He said, look up, lift up your heads. Your redemption is drawing nigh.